I am a fat, ugly, and unpopular. This is not an exaggeration either. We are trying to scream attention. This is what I always have, and I have to occur maximum period of probability. I did it exactly. My name is Constance, and I cannot make a loser scope of the disaster that is a waste of space. And popularity of children in school. You know, geek even in people with school bullying left. Specifically, students will be used for bullying me without stopping. He and his name was Joe was against me, beautiful, popular and fit. The girl who had a crush on him was there. And I think bullying for her to convince the girl. What his reasons? He said I am used to it, creating sometimes very angry. What was worse, because he lived in the street. Often is my own bully of the school environment. I should not have been set up for themselves in the mattress of a place, but unfortunately I have what I have. I never thought it would be a true friend. I had it until I met Roller. Beautiful small heart. She did everything that I wanted to be. Her hair flowing down on his face. Blind as moonlight in the evening darkness. I had to be dark and tour their overall appearance. Roller knew what would withstand the verbal and psychological suffering that I've done. It was as if all the words of anger and darkness inhuman my mind. I went to him. Suddenly, this week, we have arrived. Hey, what's your name? I do not think I've seen in school until now. I stand. Your eyes, have they? The most beautiful eyes I have ever seen? I think not. And Laura, see and shine, they have rays shine. Remind me it was lifted jewelry from Sparkle. When she told me, I was a bit surprised. Everyone did not have spoken to me until now. He did everything I wanted to hear until now. I did not know what I know. I assumed that he was listening to me from one of the other students. Hey, I've come to play in order to keep your home, and you very beautiful harp show. I have some cool stuff. I myself in a video game you can teach you to play it. I tried. I cannot have you so. It's so, happiness. The player is called to dance. I want always to play a musical instrument. They want, and I love video games. After his harp and playback Roller, I go home with her. We had great communication. And she was as though you can read all entertainment and ideas swimming in my head. He seemed very calm person. I mean, he's almost like a hippie in 1960, is a very sensitive issue. But then, again, it's really dark, made things gothic. If there's charming, it's me exclusive secret of his life as though radiation, silly, does not somehow imply really dark gothic and spooky gothic way. He almost seemed without normal human energy. Before us, he teased Joe, I had, but also condemning me, screaming. This was a typical day for me only. My appearance is a constant theme that unfortunately joke. However, this time, I like Roller wanted to protect me. To them I have to admit I have evil in the world. She had her hand. I apparently sounded in his speech the corner from her eyes she saw anger boringly. I think he knew that it was not the last thing you want to hear with my two. When we got to my house, Roller, if she could be put off perhaps, he was touched by clear and concerns and comments. I tried as much as my mind Joe bullying. You have to make. It must really is important to me. We went to my room. I booted my Dreamcast. This was the old system, which is the only system that can reproduce Roller. I was eager to know what you can, before you try to play the harp. It can be dangerous. I have never let anyone to play it before. Look at me. I did not quite understand what this is about as in the Roller. I wonder how dangerous harp is this? Then again, why would there need to be worried about it one bit, as it was a dangerous instrument to be displayed? The game looks like a Guitar Hero. It was very basic, and stripped. However, Rollers, it seemed to get the picture. It seemed as excited. Was it any wonder why that is not connected to the system? And I did not know it took no Dreamcast played Roller. However, I do not want to look stupid in front of a great woman. In addition, she made the game itself. I do not feel like he had the strength to resist every aspect of their work. And Roller tell me. I think it's interesting, knowing he was almost erotic. She stroked the strings of a harp in his finger. I was very good. I think I got to be in love with Laura. He put a hand on my shoulder. My shoulder is naked. I was able to feel the warmth of his hand, his long-to-see strong expression to me. Then, we touched hands before moving on to a string of a harp. Well, I'll be able to control your actions. Let's meet and dive deep in your thoughts. I began to fast enough. Once, I had to play the notes, knowing that does not even exist. The room my hand on the glorious music starts shaking echo reel began to get faster and faster. I started to get scared. In other words, it was not uncommon, and I have a combination of roller. Had the intuition that this sport, what is happening in the roller, it scares me. I do not know, my sweetie, let me help you. I'll be here for you. Do not worry. I'll try to accompany you. Blood in me ridiculous and cruel way in my game began to spot. Bleeding is darkened harp, and the race was restored to power, and the door, my line of sight. This was really unusual, was fixed on the harp. What the hell? If you were what you to death, the you and me, I immediately. Me, my beautiful one, I woke up. Me, I need that must be dreaming. Not terrible thing has happened so far. It was all a dream. I looked straight ahead, a way I could see that it was on my knees. She's over yet. It was loaded on YouTube. My inbox in the video is donated, I called, please enjoy your position swan song. I flew into a panic. How are there but probably know my name. I do not have a username of course. As was the roller. I will load the video. I made me what I want to see. It played a girl harp. I was singing, this job lady. I remember the song. I looked at the initiative of the singer. Kate Bush and had a major impact. It is one of the singer on the channel. He was one of the singers that I like more. But most of all, I have a message emotions in a very large number of tracks. Brave, she thought she was going to die. He was a farewell to his wife. The first thing that caught my attention on the image on the screen, it was a roller mutation seemed. There was nothing unusual about the picture. I've always been afraid. Then, I have my doubts as soon as focusing on her singing voice has reached a whole other standards. I roller. Just so I think that is realized. The girl sang to me. I was frozen for a few seconds. Is it happened? If I will have had, or I pass has worked roller. It was going to be very strange visitors a day. First I had to learn to play the harp, and I was singing suddenly without memory. Does it mean all? I looked to the right, the game still Dreamcast. I invited the dance of the players. The harp was put on the floor. That I am, why I do not know. It seemed only natural. I took a napkin, trying to clean up some of the blood. The vessel was still bleeding from the original. I began to reflect on all that had happened to me, how to play the harp and a school. Lonely room. I was supposed to be taken in my heart that has been initiated and construction of fire of hatred. I took the harp with all my strength. I broke through the wall. I smashed it against the door. I broke on the ground, was smashed against the books. It was blood around the room to take a shower. I fell into bed. I've buried my head in my hands. After a brief cry of severity at the time, I was able to hear a rattling sound in my head. Well, go to my children. I'm seething. I hope you're going to anger that has accumulated over the years. Is it legitimate or is supposed to feel like I have trouble? Yes. You must use the harp retaliation for what is set to take place. I'm what happens when you have someone to go out and tries to destroy you, or I want to show to the world. They are Luajamhar. I took a harp that bleeding on the floor. I opened the door. I was looking back to my room. I saw a roller to play. He smiled at me. It was a fake, but it was a bit dark. I want to unleash my anger. I am a man wanted to pay what for me. If I went to his house, he was often harassed me, because he lives very close to me. Then, I went to the house of Joseph, had seen his house. I knocked on the door. I had to wait. Long time passing picked up, and I was impatient. It seemed like the most cursed swirling and ever and thinking has been turned on in my head. Joe expectations, and I put a hand on this stove door, was not able any more to take. Simply because the harp landed directly on my head, I broke down the door and jumped off. Fine Joe was knocked down. He was silent and stunned for a moment. Finally, began to focus on what was in front of him. I have next to me on the right, bleeding, was standing harp door. She stood up and tried to run to her room. She is far away, and he did not. He once, when I was a ladder and shook his harp in it, will generate deep cut on his clothes. Joe shouted in pain. I'm going to enjoy it. You direct me. I'm going to show all of the anger of my soul. Constance's, please you do. I beg you to stop. Please, I do not kill. I do not deserve mercy, and this is only your art boat and lake, why not? You do not have to live on that amount as it is. You must make back plover. In other words, it really was bad. It was not right. It will be able to bully me. But he did not deserve that cruel and disgusting death. However, before I myself pain shooting and can be managed to prevent shipments through my body, I am on the right side of the harp and be ready to do so. Right to the heart of Joe, picked up. I tried everything I could. When I tried to stop myself, I cried, but my hands were moving on their own, and will destroy the dia. It was a terrible situation. For not doing so, it is a bad thing. I think his mind was completely destroyed in the pulp of blood. I left the harp, but fell down. I am able to reflect. Before it was to mourn what he did, I began to see visions in my head. Laura was still sitting in my room. I could dance as to play the harp player that looks brutal and corrupt. I love the girl, but it's something else. I do what I do. I'm going to need to be set to let go. Roller depending on the power button of the Dreamcast, and knew immediately I was going. Roller. I met him, he was going to kill my button. And then once you control all of the time, she was. But why? I guess. You have loved me. It is the story of Constance. I cannot read it, I thought. And he did not, and he was always aroused my interest. She is a beautiful girl. When I had to press the power button, I never waved. A person is so emotional. I cried. That support agent of expression, and most importantly, when I got bored, and amused me, the players, I have always had the ability to isolate them from my feelings. But, I loved her. I would never be able to kill you. Denied. I think you lose it forever. It was very sad. It is up to the end of time. Has been dominated by Constance, my harp. I am. After all, he loved me. He told me, you know that he is and wants to be. I did not know what to do, Constance. However, we know that you will be very happy. In fact, we are called to marriage. Would I need to change my appearance? The woman, she is me, who I am. It helped out me. It's great. My wife and I together forever. Cannot wait to continue the game. I reached over to the Dreamcast. Please cycle power again. Constance, we start a honeymoon.